Thanks for joining us on our comic book coffee break. I'm Nick Gunning.
I'm Eric Mickles, known online as Dusk vs. Tweak.
Oh, this week I'm drinking Cuban coffee. It's hot because it is cold AF back here today, so it is piping hot.
Did you say human coffee?
Cuban.
Oh, I thought that was a sure sign you were not human. I am drinking human coffee for my human podcast.
I love this human coffee. No,
I just got
it's
home
made for humans.
and forgot I needed anything, so I guess
Where
I'm
have
just
you been?
drinking water. We had to go get
Okay.
groceries and make
The
sure that
coronavirus.
every single Burger King in town doesn't have an icy machine working.
Cool.
So we had to do
Cool.
that.
I love me an Impossible Whopper.
Yeah, that's true.
I also love me the Impossible Crust Sandwich in the morning. Nothing like a little fake sausage to set your day right.
That's true.
Dunkin' also has some fake sausage now, but I'm going to give it to Burger King. I think theirs is better.
Oh, wow.
So that's my hot take.
Okay.
Eric, this show's brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network.
You can find more about the show and others like it at our network's website, radiomeanwhile.com. And yet, there are no other shows like this.
True. The format's too unique.
Yeah.
No one ever thought of it before. No one will be able to duplicate
Nope.
it. That's it. That's the
Just-
long and the short of
Just
it.
two white guys talking about comic books they read during the week. Try to find that anywhere else.
You can't.
On
you can't.
YouTube? No.
Oh, I just looked. I can't find it. I read some of the things last week. You asked me. You put me on the spot. You really put me on the spot
Last
about
week?
what I was going to read. Yeah.
Oh, at the end.
Yeah.
Well,
and you know
sometimes
what?
you
I
ask
did
that,
all right.
and then you didn't. And I felt like we were going a little short, so I was going to try to...
Oh,
Pad it
you
out
were
a bit.
padding the time. Okay,
Yeah.
I respect. Game respects game. I understand.
Okay.
I understand. So I read a few things that I said I was going to read. All right,
Quick.
I'm going to dive into one of the things that I did not mention.
You
'cause I just wanna
said
Yeah, go ahead.
game respects game. So now I have to ask, because now it's the line of thinking I'm on. What real world athlete do you consider yourself as for comic books? Like, if you're a comic book reader akin to an athlete, are you the Michael Jordan of comic book reading? Are you the Larry Bird of comic book reading?
I like to think I'm the Meadowlark of the Harlem Globetrotters.
Okay.
Is that acceptable?
Yep, sure. And I'm the cartoon version of the Mighty Ducks of comic book reading.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. I never watched that.
It was
cartoon.
terrible. It was terrible.
Was it?
Yeah.
Ian Ziering from 90210 did a lot of voice work in it. So
Cool.
if we
Ian
get real
Ziering.
hard up for content on 902 and here we go, maybe we'll
What
start
was I
covering Mighty Ducks.
watching? I was watching Happy Days, and I thought
Oh.
Steve was Ralph the Mouth. And then I was trying to figure out, I guess that meant Brendan was
You know what?
Richie Cunningham and Dave would be Potsy. Because then you got to have Luke Perry as the Fonz.
Yeah, there's no question. Yeah, there's no question.
So
Yeah.
who's the kid with the who had a funeral at the beginning of the
Scott.
show? Scott would be Chachi.
Not Richie's brother who just vanishes one day.
Oh, I forgot he had a brother. Boy.
Yeah, everyone did. That's Chuck Cunningham. Eric, my mug today, it's
Uh-huh.
actually my wife's, but it's Wonder Woman from the 1940s all the way up to the 2010s.
Finally.
And true to form, I'm all about 70s Wonder Woman, 70s, 80s Wonder Woman. I feel
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah.
that's the Wonder Woman of my youth.
Yep.
And what a great segue, because I read some Wonder Woman this week. I read Wonder Woman Volume 7, Amazon's Attacked.
Yeah,
Past tense.
okay. Explain this to me, because, I
don't
guess
know.
there's nothing to explain to me, but has this title not been used 100 times before?
It has. I mean, there was a major crossover pre-New 52 that was called Amazon's Attack.
Yeah, that was a
And
Gail
that-
Simone
that
one,
was-
right? Gail Simon?
Yes, that was like the Amazons versus like the US, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
this is like a play on that title. We're still in the whole like Darkseid's daughter, Wonder Woman's brother storyline here.
Oh,
I
right.
just hated it. It was so exhausting.
I think it's cool. I think it adds something to the character that she was lacking.
You've never even read it. You don't even know.
I think Wonder Woman always needed a brother to look after.
I mean, you said it when you were like, you would just like delete Steve Trevor. And I feel like once you get past the origin, you just don't need it. And he's always in this run, he's always calling her Angel, which I just hate. And she's all tied up in this other thing. This is really more about Darkseid's daughter and more about Jason, Wonder Woman's brother, and it just doesn't really feel even like a Wonder Woman story.
Mm.
It feels like a weird, like quasi New Gods thing that just, for me, this just doesn't gel. And Wonder Woman hasn't been the feature since the Shea Fontana volume. I think
Snap.
volume five. So I don't know. I love Wonder Woman. I love reading Wonder Woman comics. But I think I said this a few weeks ago. The Wonder Woman Agent of Peace, I think it is, which is the digital exclusive one that's showing up on the app with new issues. Same kind of thing. They keep pairing her with another person, and it's like that person is the one driving the story, and Wonder Woman is like the lens, and I just don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
she's a marquee character. Can't we just like tell a respectful Wonder Woman story? I don't understand what they're doing in the main line here.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. But, I mean, I don't get the reason doing it, but I see people who are like, oh, I don't know how to write Wonder Woman, so I'll just have people react to Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And
Well, the one you always go back to, the pre, is it New 52? Like Blood and Guts and all that?
Blood's a Gut. Yeah, that was New 52.
See, I mean, that at least was like, it wasn't really to my taste, but that was a solid, like, you're following Wonder Woman. This is Wonder Woman's story. And I feel like after that, the relationship with Superman sort of took precedence, and
Oh,
she
my
didn't really
word.
get a great thing there. And in Rebirth, the whole like every other issue thing, it's just a lot of confusing stuff going on. And by
Yeah.
this point, I'm just like, what are you doing? So I read another Wonder Woman thing that's interesting, but I'm gonna put a pin on that. We'll save that for a little bit. What have you been
All
reading?
right. I read Swamp Thing Twin Branches by
Yeah, okay.
Maggie Stiefvater, and the illustrations were Morgan Beam. And I liked the illustrations by Morgan Beam. They've kind of have this, I don't know, kind of elongated, exaggerated, kind of even simple style. I can't really describe it.
I'm
Basically,
kind of
these.
curious with like DC and what they're doing Swamp Thing wise, because not that long ago we had that like junior level, 8 to 12-year-old level Swamp Thing story called Swamp Kid,
Yeah,
and
no
now this
idea.
one.
Yeah,
But
unless
like it
they're.
doesn't really seem like they're going for the Swamp Thing crowd, though,
Yeah,
right?
especially since they canceled the Swamp Thing show.
Right.
And yes, having read this,
Weirdly, also starring Ian Ziering from 90210.
as who?
He's Blue Devil.
In the Swamp Thing show?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm kind of wondering if Swamp Thing is going to get a second life now because it's airing on CW and doing pretty well. So,
I don't know. This is the kind of thing that you read it as like somebody who's read the comics before, and you're like, oh, this is an interesting take. But if this was somebody's first Swamp Thing, I would not know where to send them. Because it's the story of like two twins who have to go live with their aunt in this new town because their parents are getting a divorce, and one's like very popular and one's more sciencey, and the one sciencey is studying plants, and there's some kind of like his experiments go off, but like even when we finally see a Swamp Thing design, it's so bizarre and nothing like the DC comics normally. So I really like if some kid was like, "Oh, I really like Swamp Thing Twin Branches," I wouldn't be like, "Oh, well, check out Alan Moore's Swamp Thing then." I really would not know where to send them. So, interesting read. Just don't know where it's supposed to lead new readers to.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
would assume that's the point of these young adult graphic novels.
Well, it was the same thing with Laura Miracle's Catwoman, that I've bashed on many a podcast at this point.
Yeah,
But
anytime.
it is just like it's not good for Catwoman fans, and it's not good. It's not a good introduction. So it's just, to me, it's just like you've created your own dead end.
Yeah.
You've alienated people who like Catwoman, and people who don't are just going to be like, why am I reading this?
I think it helps that when I first started reading comics, the Ultimate Universe had started. And so,
Yeah.
like, right as I was getting into comics, the idea that there was a main universe and an alternate universe was,
Yeah.
like, just kind of instilled on me. So, like, when I read something like this, I'm like, oh, this is just the ultimate version of Swamp Thing.
Right. Yeah.
But if I was reading the Ultimates or Ultimate Spider-Man, I could then, it wasn't a huge leap to then go
Yeah,
read
of
regular
course.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So, man, I miss the early days of the Ultimate Universe. It was
I
so
feel like
exciting.
DC just couldn't get it together when they were trying to do like the Earth One stuff.
Oh
They
yeah.
they came
Well,
out so sporadically. I mean, Green
yeah.
Lantern Earth One Volume 2 like just came out,
Well,
but Superman Earth One was like a decade
they
ago,
they
you know?
launched
What are
that
you
at the
doing?
same time they were launching New 52. And so it was
Yeah,
like, okay, so now we have two alternate
yeah, right.
new takes on a young Superman.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Well,
So did you like Swamp Thing then? You just like the old.
I liked Swamp Thing for the most part. I mean,
Okay.
it's not. I wouldn't read this to get my Swamp Thing. I guess I read it as a Swamp Thing fix. I don't know. I liked it without loving it. I
Okay.
thought it was interesting and it kept my attention. But
Hmm.
as a Swamp Thing reader, it didn't really like blow my mind.
Have you seen the show at all? The CW show, or DC Universe slash
No,
CW?
there's supposed to be a lot of body horror.
Well, I think the CW version though tones it way down.
Oh,
I think it's a
well,
much edited
maybe
version.
that's how I'd have to watch it.
This is only tangentially related to the topic at hand, but I recently gave up on the show Supergirl,
Yeah.
and I've been trying since season one to like that show, and
Oh.
I don't know.
I've
I
liked
just
the first
had
two
it.
seasons.
I guess I would say I probably preferred the first season. I thought the show was much more like,
You liked it
I don't
back
know.
during the CBS years,
Well, yeah, I guess. I
Yeah.
mean, it knew what it was
the
doing in
Calista
that first
Flockhart
season.
years.
And now it's just sort of like everybody loves each other so much and is best friends. And like this last one, it was like Martian Manhunter and Supergirl and her sister are like sitting on the floor drinking wine, like playing Scrabble. And I'm just like, what am I watching? Like, what is this? But that's not the point that I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is
I'm okay with what you just described. I gotta catch up.
considering something
Get to
like
the Scrabble episode.
like a Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
I get so tired of these 25 episode seasons of the CW shows
Oh,
because like at my core, like I want to watch The Flash,
Yeah.
I want to watch Supergirl. And if it was like a 10 episode season,
Yeah.
even if it was a little bad, I would do it.
Yeah.
But this last season of Supergirl, we were trying to like, let's just watch some of the important episodes, just to kind of like keep in touch.
Yeah.
And I just can't do it.
You
And I
need,
wonder why they don't.
You need them to do to the DC superhero shows what they did to Dragon Ball, where they do Dragon Ball Z and then they do Dragon Ball Z Kai, and they cut out all the filler episodes. You need them
Okay.
to redub
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
clean up and take out all the filler episodes
No,
and
I
scenes.
just what I want is because now I mean the list is getting high because you've got Stargirl, Batwoman, Black Lightning, which is transitioning to the spin-off. You've
Yeah.
got Supergirl, which is transitioning to Superman. You've got Flash. I feel like I'm forgetting one. Swamp
Probably.
Thing, I guess. Like if you want to count that.
You said Stargirl,
There's-
yeah.
There's so many that
Legends
I
of
feel like. And
Tomorrow.
Legends of Tomorrow, exactly. They got Wonder Woman in the works.
Yeah.
Why can't we just have these be like 8 episode seasons that just sort of like rotate with each other?
Man, I
You
was making these complaints back with Smallville, back when like I was like, why isn't this like a 30-minute episode every
Yeah.
There's no reason. Smallville never made the case to be an hour-long show. It was always like, boy, this would be better at 30 minutes. It's that idea that like, no, a cartoon is 23 minutes.
Yeah.
A show is okay. Well, you know what? In the cartoon of Justice League, nobody's walking over like, I know we had this conversation 3 times, but can we have it one more time, but over by the hay barrel?
Yeah, no, you're right. And I just feel like at this point, why we're holding on to this like 1990s like network TV model is just beyond me. I would rather have like shorter, more succinct storytelling than like 25 episodes a season. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I am not optimistic about Superman and Lois. As much as I love that Superman, that show already feels like it's fraught with problems.
So you want, as Rob in the chat suggests, you want the CW shows to go the British television route.
Yes, Rob, thank you.
Yep.
Yes, I will take that.
Yep.
Absolutely. That would work just fine. Because that's all they're doing. Like Flash has its season-long villain, its season-long arc.
Yeah.
You don't need 25 episodes
No.
for that. So they're trying to do that British model where they have a succinct story and they're stretching it out over 25. So either tell episodic stories or have a shorter season that focuses on one main plot. You cannot do both, the CW. Thank you, Rob.
All right, that was Swamp Thing, Twin Branches. Sorry.
Took a big old drink
Yeah.
when you got. I didn't know you were bringing that level of sass.
All right.
Okay, you want me to take it?
Yeah.
All right.
It's a light
Well,
week for both of us.
I'm gonna stick with Wonder Woman. I'm gonna stick with Wonder Woman because I had an advanced librarian like perusal copy of Wonder Woman Dead Earth by Daniel Warren Johnson, and I want you to read this one
I'm
when you
gonna.
can get your little meat hooks on it
What? I don't
because
call them meat hooks. Not
you do.
anymore.
Because it's interesting because you have, I mean, the basic premise, I'm not going to spoil anything here. The basic premise is that Wonder Woman sort of emerges after being, she emerges a long, long time after she
Yeah.
last was like, on Earth. And what she finds is just like a shambles.
Right.
And so it's very much a post-apocalyptic kind of
Yeah.
story where you have Wonder Woman trying to just figure out what it means to be Wonder Woman when there's
Hmm.
very little left to fight for. Like what is the goal? What do you how do you serve like the world
Hmm.
when it is the way that it is? Um, I was really intrigued by it. That's not the same as like really liking it, but I
Hmm.
was I was really interested by it and I thought it was unique and I thought it was a pretty good Wonder Woman story. I think because she doesn't have a clear mission and she doesn't have any supporting characters, and she comes across as a much younger kind of Wonder Woman
Mm.
than you would expect, it is like you have to sort of remind yourself like this is Wonder Woman that you're dealing with. But I think it's one that's I think good discussions will come out of reading this book, and I do recommend it. I mean, as a Wonder Woman fan, or even just as somebody who likes that sort of post-apocalyptic vibe, I thought like tonally it's not the same as like a Dark Knight Returns, but I sort of felt like if you were a fan of that kind of storytelling, you might find something in this Wonder Woman story that you like as well. So I don't know. I'm interested to hear what you think when you finally get it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll have to read the physical copy, so I wonder if I will also just be having a better experience because of the big old art. Brave of DC to use their black label for anything other than a Joker story.
I know, right? Yeah, that is
That's
surprising.
amazing.
That's true. And I did have like a locked down version,
Hmm.
like in Adobe Digital Editions with like a
Yeah.
watermark over the cover
Oh
of it. So
yeah.
ideal way to read something like that.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm
I
looking
actually
forward to this December, right?
December 1st. I thought
Oh.
once the physical copy comes in, I might give it another read and get like a truer experience, especially now that I kind of know what the gist of the story is, because there are some very cool elements to it. So keep me posted when you read it, and we'll talk more.
I'm looking it up right now to see if my library has it. Wonder
Well, it doesn't
Woman.
come out for a couple of.
You said December 1st.
Yeah.
That's 2 days.
Okay.
No, they have Superman Savage Dawn. Is that any good?
Is that where he fights Savage Dragon?
Depowered and fragile, Superman is becoming increasingly desperate to regain his abilities.
Oh, is it new?
No. Vandal Savage is in it.
Oh, then probably not. Then
Okay.
it's probably not good. Oh no, yes. Sorry, that's a Gene Luen Yang
It's part of the Truth
volume. Yeah.
saga. Okay.
Yeah, that is
Well,
good. That is good.
Dead Earth wasn't there, but hopefully they'll get it.
Yeah.
All right. I also read Nick and Nora Infinite Playlists,
Infinite
but in
playlist.
Gotham, and the
Okay.
Romeo and Juliet, but not. It's Fault in Our Stars, but no. I'm sounding cynical of it, but I actually really like this one. It's called Victor and Nora: A Gotham Love
Oh yeah.
Story by Lauren Miracle. The art is by Isaac Goodhart, who has kind of a very like all the characters feel very. I don't know what the word is. There's a soft touch to everything. There's nothing in this
Okay.
that has like none of the visuals come across as harsh.
Okay.
This is basically just the story of Victor Fries and Nora Daniels. I don't know what Nora's last name is.
Okay. Yeah, Nora Daniels.
Victor Fries and Nora meeting as teenagers and falling in love, but obviously Nora is has a terminal illness, and it's basically their story that leads up to her being in a snow globe, as you put it on another
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
So it's the story of how they get there, of their relationship, of them, but also, kind of an alternate take because it's one of the young adult adaptation stories. So, but this one felt pretty standard in terms of like it feels like it fits with the normal DC universe. I mean, they're young and everything, but it's not like a huge jump. So I don't know if you were to read this and then watch Heart of Ice, it would be pretty a pretty smooth road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's it. I know you didn't like Lauren Miracle's Catwoman at all.
No.
But I think she did. I mean, the story's simple. It's just, Fault in Our Stars, except she's frozen at the end.
Well, I think you have a lot more flexibility with characters like Victor and Nora Freeze because this is not even Freeze, like his pre-Mr. Freeze persona is not something that's like well laid out. It can be whatever you want.
I want Mr. Freeze flashbacks in DC Comics from now on.
Yeah. Whereas I think that's the thing that really bites you with the Catwoman one because you know those characters too well and they do not resemble what you see in the Catwoman.
I want to see Mr. Freeze through like the 90s being like, why did they redesign the Coke can again? It's pointless! Pointless!
Then he throws it up in the air and freezes it. I probably won't read it. But have you read Shadow of the Batgirl? Because I think that's one that you would like if you haven't read it.
No, I'll check it out though.
Yeah, this DCYA.
Yeah, it's just interesting because reading Gotham High and Twin Branches, those ones are just so different than like Gotham High felt like you just wanted to use you wanted to tell your own story, but now you have to use the DC characters' names in it. Whereas Victor and Nora just feels like, I don't know, they gets it. Whatever issue you have with Lauren Miracle not getting Catwoman, she just got it with Victor and Nora.
Nice.
So
no, I feel like with Gotham High, I feel like that's a pretty successful Elseworlds tale.
Yeah.
Like I thought it had that vibe.
Oh yeah, Gotham High had elements of it that I would like to see in like the main
I would read
universe.
Volume 2. Yeah.
Victor and Nora, the Freeze in Our Stars. Somebody Rob suggests the fault in their stasis. So
yeah.
Nora.
Does it deal with her catching McGregor syndrome? Because that's what she has in Batman and Robin.
It's not the McGregor syndrome.
Is it connected to?
No.
Okay. All right.
Boy, it's too bad we were denied hearing Patrick Stewart read yell Nora.
Yeah.
As Mr. Freeze, because if you think about how much we hear him say Logan.
Yeah.
Logan, Nora, Nora and Logan. Where are you, Logan and Nora? I'm a horse.
Here's one of the things that I said I was going to read, and I did it. So I'm a man of my word. Rob, I don't know if he said anything about that one, but just in case. Marvel Masterworks, Captain America and Falcon, Volume 6, by one Stan Lee. I'm liking this. Here's what I like about it. Okay. Captain America and Falcon.
They're their mighty shield.
Boy, that song's going to be stuck in my head. When the red and the white and the blue come through. Listen, here's what I like about it, okay? Falcon gets added. Like, we meet Falcon, I think, in the previous volume, maybe even the one before.
An Olympian.
So, yeah. And once he's added as, like, the co-lead, it's not the kind of thing where he's just Captain America's sidekick, and he's like, you bet, Cap. Let's go get him, Cap. Like, he really is a co-lead to this. And this one...
That's marriage.
This one saw a bit of a schism that felt like it could be written today because it dealt with a lot of, like, racial unrest. And Falcon sort of... they have a bit of a break because Captain America is being insensitive to things like riots and that sort of thing, and Falcon is like, no, they have a reason, we have a reason. And so he's like, I can't, I have this responsibility to my own people, my own community. I can't just go and fight Hydra with you or whatever. So they kind of break up, really. And Falcon is just doing his own thing, which is really interesting to see, at this time that Falcon gets such an equal footing. He gets the more classic costume, like the red and the white costume. And so I got to give him props for actually addressing racial issues in the book and giving Falcon something to do. But I'll tell you what, if you read any Marvel 1970s and there was a black character in there, you can bet someone is going to call someone else a honky. It's every single issue somebody has to say it. It's I don't know. So that does happen.
They didn't know in the Marvel office, Nick.
They didn't. That's the thing. So that's the thing. That's the ding against it. But I feel like from a storytelling standpoint, Falcon's arc in this is actually much more interesting and compelling than Captain America's.
Hmm.
So
Does
I call
does
Falcon and Captain America.
ooh does Falcon have his bird
He
during
still has the,
these
yeah, he still got the bird.
Red
The
Wing?
bird's there right from the beginning. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So when Falcon's like, "See you later, Cap. I've got problems to
Yeah.
deal with back at home."
Me and my bird are getting out of
The
here.
bird
Yeah.
leaves. Okay, the bird's like, "Actually, I've been talking to Cap,
Yeah.
and Hydra does seem like an issue."
I'm really liking this. I don't even remember what compelled me to pick up Captain America like in the first place. I honestly don't remember what
Was
it
it
was.
our interview with Steve Englehart over on All the Book Show?
It was. Yes,
Okay.
actually it was because you talked to him quite a bit about it when he takes over Captain America, which we haven't got there yet.
Yeah, well, I talked to him because he brought the X-Men in there when there were no X-Men comics on at the time, and that was the story where Englehart's the guy that was like, Falcon is a superhero, let's give him wings because his name is the Falcon.
Yeah. Yeah,
So.
which we haven't gotten to yet, but
No,
I'm
yeah, you'd have to get to
pretty
Englehart.
deep
This
into
is
this.
volume
I'm
6. There's a
six
volume
volumes
11 out
in.
there.
Wow.
I saw one looking up the cover.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So I got plenty to go. Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm not. I'm just gonna keep reading it until they take it away from me. So.
Whoa, okay. Who
Yeah.
are these people taking away? Hydra, obviously. I don't know why I even asked.
Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah. What else? Anything interesting?
I finished keeping it on DC on my end for a little bit. I finished volume 2 of All Star Batman, written by Scott Snyder,
Hate that.
and a whole bunch of different artists. Yes, you. I don't think
hate
you
that.
read volume 3. We both gave it 2 stars. There's 2 stories at the beginning. There's a Mr. Freeze story and a Poison Ivy story, and I was fine. But then it becomes the Mad Hatter and Ra's al Ghul and like other characters, and it's all just the writing is just so messy and all over the place. It reminds me of that crap issue that Grant Morrison did where it was all prose and then every now and then there would be like a picture in the corner about the Joker. And it's just too much. At this point in his career, I was like, Scott Snyder, you gotta say something else. And it's too bad because like the idea of Batman, like his villains are in other places on the globe and Batman's tracking them down, that's cool. But everything Scott Snyder writes, it seems like he's always trying to make us believe everything is at stake all the time and everybody's at the edge, and it becomes you become desensitized to the drama of it all. So if everything is at 11, then nothing's at 11. 11's the floor, Snyder.
The first volume, I feel like there was a lot of John Romita Jr. art in there in volume 1, and I feel like that got me through. But I honestly at this point, and I don't know if he still is. I think he still is. But after New 52, do you still want Scott Snyder writing Batman? It's been such a long time. Like, what else does he have to say? Because all the later stuff tells me that not much is the answer.
So anyway, I have volume 3 to read.
Okay.
No, that was it. I got tired thinking about having to read volume 3 of this because I liked volume 1, which was Batman like almost having a handcuffed road trip with Two-Face.
Yeah.
But again, it was still very like intense drama. Like Gordon and the police were gonna like find the Batcave and everything. I'm like, you can't. Even the T-Rex has to breathe every now and then between wars. So actually, scientists think that the T-Rex didn't really roar because crocodiles don't roar or anything. So that maybe it was more like a low rumble that you would feel more than hear.
Okay.
So
I got it.
Yeah.
I feel like with volume 1 of that series, like while I didn't love the story, like it had a beginning, middle, end. Whereas I feel like volume 2 really was just like a scattershot. Like what?
Volume 1 also had the benefit of having John Romita Jr. doing the art for the whole thing, whereas this one is every single, and also like the Poison Ivy thing. Like Poison Ivy kisses him, so now he's in control. Turns out he has wax lips, and like I've been here a million times. Have I been reading comic books too long that Batman revealing he has wax lips in front of Poison Ivy doesn't do anything for me anymore?
Like in Batman and Robin.
Right, in Batman and Robin.
There you go. They did it first.
But isn't it Robin who has the wax lips?
Sure is, yeah.
Well, Dick.
Yep. Yeah.
So, Sorry, just thinking about Chris
Best line,
O'Donnell.
best
Yeah.
line from Batman and Robin. Yep,
Yep.
you just said it. All right, the last thing I read this week was another one that I promised that I would. After my quarter bin last week, rediscovering the Justice Society of America by Len Straczewski, I found this on the app, and I had to go read all 8 issues because, as you recall from last week, this was one that I was trying to catch when I found it on spinner racks, and I never was able to get all 8 issues, so I've only read select volumes. So it wasn't until this past week that I actually read the whole thing. And this was interesting for me because I really think this was the first modern series that I tried to follow. And like even at the time, I knew that they were doing something retro. Like even in '91
Right.
or wherever this came out, like I was familiar with those characters
Yeah.
just from digging into quarter bins.
You were
So like
nostalgic at an early age.
I was like I knew all these characters, and I was like, oh, it's those old characters, but like a new series. Like I thought that was cool. So I really was excited to get all these. But like I said, I never quite had a grapple on the story because I only had like
A background.
I want to say 3 of the 8 issues. I've
Right.
now read all the 8 issues. I'm not really sure I understand the story.
Okay.
So it
All right.
looked cool.
Yeah.
Like the art was cool. It was very fragmented because you would follow like, one issue would just be Flash, one would just be Green Lantern, one would just be Black Canary, and then there'd be team ups and things. So the story bops around a little bit, and ultimately it's just Vandal Savage like trying to amass power,
Vandal.
and the Justice Society trying to like not let him do that. So it was good. I don't know that I would put this in anyone's hands and say this is the Justice Society for today, but as a throwback to like something that grabbed my interest as a kid, it was fun to actually see the whole story come together.
Why has no one done any stuff with Vandal versus Roz? Why is there no like Immortal War storyline where
Good question.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's because Roz is immortal and he's been living forever, but like he also is very like proper and like has this elegance, whereas Vandal is basically just a barbarian who's been around for a long time. So,
Dean Cain played Vandal Savage in Smallville.
yeah, he plays Vandal Savage in real life.
That's true.
So
That is true.
yeah.
That's it for all I read. What about you? You got anything
So
else?
I read volumes 3 and 4 of The Wicked and the Divine.
But you don't like that series.
Here's what happened. So remember,
Okay.
I was done. I was feeling like I'm not going to read any more Wicked and the Divine. This is by Kieran Gillen. I was done. I was out with volume 2,
Out.
and then I read the last pages, and it ended on such a cliffhanger that I had to know what happened in volume 3.
That's what happened to
So-
me with Super Dinosaur by Bob Kirkman.
I picked up volume 3,
Okay.
and I knew I was in trouble right away because the artist was different, and then
All right.
every story, every issue in this collection in volume 3 was different than the last. This is called this volume is Commercial Suicide.
Wow.
It's basically just like filler backstory issues, like you get to see like the different characters that I don't really love or am interested in.
Okay.
And it doesn't resolve. It's all happening. So there's no cliffhanger resolution in this, and that made me
Okay.
mad. I gave it 2 stars. I thought that was like a crappy move.
Yeah.
So I picked up volume 4 like instantly. I'm like, tell me what happened. I'll throw up the spoiler tag though.
they?
I'm not gonna really spoil it. What were you gonna ask me?
Did they tell you what
In
happened?
volume 4, they do tell you what's going to happen in volume 4. It's a
Okay.
bit of a smoking gun. Wait, no, not a smoking gun. There's a bit of smoke and mirrors that had happened to the reader. But here's the thing. I was much more interested in what was happening in volume 4 with the characters, and it finally seemed like there was some sense of motion in this. And then it also ends not on a cliffhanger, but at a point where I'm actually generally interested in where the rest of the series is going. So even that character, I had no idea why she was there. At this point, I don't care anymore, and she's just there. And so now, like, they did things in this volume, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna check out volume 5 because I want to know what this last page means.
Wow. Okay.
So a strange series. Maybe the next like 4 volumes I'll be like, this is the best thing I've ever read. Or maybe I'll spend the whole series being like, I gotta stop reading this, but now I'm committed.
Yeah.
I mean, once
Yeah.
I pick up volume 5 of what, 9?
Yeah. I mean, that's like me in that Wonder Woman series, right? I
Yeah.
just finished volume 7.
Yeah, in for a penny, in for a whole lot more pennies.
It's a pound. You usually say pound. In for a
Yeah.
penny, in for a
Yeah,
pound.
in for a penny, in for a pound's worth of pennies.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
How
acceptable.
much money is a pound of pennies?
Couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Are we thinking like $5?
Probably not as much as you think.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. What can we talk New Mutants a little bit?
Oh right, I watched New Mutants.
Yeah. I talked about it some last week, and I was trying to avoid saying certain things so as
Yeah.
not to.
I have to talk about New Mutants and with you, but I also, so it's so funny. I know your wife had the same issue when you two were watching it, but this started and I
Yeah.
was like, "Where's my notebook?" And then I was like, "Oh wait, I'm just watching the movie. I don't
Right.
have to take notes during this." So I watched it, and then we're going to watch it. We're gonna talk about it next on the podcast because I think chronologically it's after Logan in some
Okay.
weird ways. Production order wise, like a lot of the bad reviews that I saw for this, people are saying, you know, it's a sad, mediocre, kind of a nothing of a send off to the X-Men franchise, but it wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to come out after
Right.
Logan and before Deadpool 2, and then they're like, we're
Right.
going to do reshoots. But those reshoots never happened. So it's
Yeah.
like it's like watching a show where they put the episodes out of order. New Mutants is not Dark Phoenix is still the last movie in the series.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So anyways, New Mutants, the movie, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No. No,
Um,
it's relatively pleasant.
I feel like put this movie out 10 years ago, maybe not even 10 years ago, maybe like 6 years ago, it's a bigger deal. And even in the X-Men franchise, put this out like the First Class era. I think it's a bit more interesting. But yeah, putting it
Yeah.
near the end after the Renaissance was kind of falling after like Apocalypse and stuff.
Yeah.
It feels, but when they were like trying
I
to do
was
different
getting
spin-off stuff.
major pilot vibes when I was watching this. That's what it felt like to me more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, it has that. They talked about, the director talked about wanting to do 3 movies, and the second one would have been an alien movie, and the third one would have been Limbo invading. So they would have had Warlock in the second one, and then like Limbo in the third one. But there were things that happened in this movie that I was surprised they went for.
Yeah.
You know, Magic, I don't know what they were really doing with her for the first half of the movie. She's unpleasant, but not in like a cool, like Wolverine is unpleasant kind of way. Like she's a racist
Right.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
So, but then the second half, like she kind of comes in and she's like this cool sword wielding badass character, which is fun.
I was confused about her little sidekick. I don't know why. Like, is there any connection between her and Lockheed?
Yeah, I mean, Magic and Kitty are Kitty Pryde are like best friends, and Kitty Pryde has Lockheed. Yeah, she has the puppet Lockheed. Asked if it would be better if it wasn't connected to X-Men. The X-Men, I thought there were going to be no connections.
Yeah.
But they mention it, and
They say it outright
There are
multiple times.
scenes straight out of Logan. Like they just copy and pasted the scenes from Logan in there. So it's in the universe. But timeline-wise, it makes no sense because Logan's in the future.
Right.
So this either takes place during Logan or after Logan, and then so that's a weird future for New Mutants to be showing up because Logan's whole thing is that there are no New Mutants being born.
Yeah.
But also, this movie was originally you were gonna have the other Professor X.
McAvoy?
They were gonna have McAvoy and Alexandra Shipp as Storm cameo in this. And set it in the 80s, but then they were like, oh, we're not going to do that. But they were like, it's okay, you can imagine it's in the 80s. We're like, well, Logan's not set in the 80s, so it's just...
Yeah.
It just shows you I mean, you don't need examples of how much Fox wasn't in charge of their own business. But, like, yeah, timeline-wise, this almost melts my brain. I've spent a good amount of years trying to streamline the X-Men timeline in my head.
Yeah.
And I've got nothing with this one. I feel like I have to set it during Logan, and maybe there are so few New Mutants being born. That's why. But also they mentioned the X-Men, and they're like not a thing in Logan.
Yeah.
So maybe this takes place. I don't know. I'm getting like an ulcer thinking about it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I enjoyed watching it.
I mean, isn't it possible that there's a version of the X-Men that's still active somewhere in Logan, or does it not allow for that?
I think no. I think there is. It's just strange. I think it.
Yeah.
I can't think about it right now. But, it's better than I thought it would be. The characters get to use. I wish Cannonball, I wish the visual for his power was seen more, because they make him very fast. So sometimes it's just he used his power, whereas the others you get to see their stuff. You can tell they definitely enjoyed having Magic use her sword and everything.
Yes,
it's a cool reveal, but then they definitely do the arm thing. What was I gonna say? You were talking about how scenes feel out of place. There's some scenes where they're definitely trying to do the Breakfast Club.
Yes.
And it hurts
when
to
it's
watch.
Woo, let's stay up all night. We're best friends. I was like, what is this?
That is a rough scene to watch, because music's playing and it's just two scenes. It's just two kids playing around in a wheelchair and then two kids playing tambourines. And that's it. It goes back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
For 10 minutes.
Weird. Yeah.
And also, it's not, even if they had made the creepier scenes creepy, it's not a scary movie because you instantly know why the spooky things are happening. So there's no fear of the unknown.
There's not a mystery element to it.
There is a name that shows up on a computer screen. And that made me a little happier. It shows what they were thinking too, and that kind of connects with the ending of X-Men Apocalypse. But yeah, that showed up, and then I spent the whole watching other people. There was so funny. There was this somebody took a Picard meme of him the camera slowly panning to Picard, and it says, "When I saw this name on screen," it's just him being like, "Damn you." It's just so fun. I felt it's just knowing that certain person was behind the scenes, even if we never saw them.
Yeah,
that made me happy.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it was also just kind of nice watching another X-Men movie after thinking they were all done forever and thinking we never see this movie.
Yeah, so, agreed. Now, so would you count this? If you were going to rewatch all the X-Men franchise, would you count New Mutants? You'd put it right in there?
Sure.
Yeah, no, I would too.
But again, I'm going to, anytime I rewatch this now, it's going to be after Logan and between Deadpool 2. So I'm just going to production order it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The Disney Plus has the X-Men animated series out of order, and you have to do that. So I'll just fix it with this one. Did you? We talked about it. Which of these characters did you like? Magic is compelling at times.
Yeah,
but she's not very likable at the first half. Daniel Moonstar's likable.
Yeah, Moonstar was the one that I thought that actress did a really good job, and I liked the vibe of those powers, and I think that would be an interesting character to explore. Magic is the one I picked up the miniseries afterwards, just because because they didn't really get into it enough, and I wanted to know more.
It's different in the movie, yeah.
But
she also, Limbo's there. There were some very comic booky things I was very surprised by, being in there. I think Sunspot was also kind of like a dick, in a gross way, and not like a ha 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 ha. He's got his own way about things. But I could have definitely had more of Charlie Heaton. Am I saying the actor's name right? Charlie Heaton as Cannonball.
Like Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have liked more of him.
Yeah.
Because I thought he kind of had that kind of, what's the sad dog? I don't know. He's just, just like, oh, shucks. You think, he's impressed that even when Sunspot's like, I've been with 3 girls. He's like, well, that's pretty sweet. He's got this kind of hill people vibe. Yeah. But
I think it's kind of funny that the movie took so long to come out that which one of the actors was the biggest star changed significantly, because I feel like now it's Anna Taylor-Joy, and I don't think you would have said that in whenever this was supposed to come out.
It was it was supposed to come out in 2018, but that means they would have filmed it in 2016. So like
Yeah.
these actors are all 4 years older now in real life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Maisie Williams would have been still
Yeah.
on Game of Thrones, so it would have been those two from Stranger Things and Game
Yeah.
of Thrones,
Exactly.
and now yeah, with Queen's
I thought
Gambit.
that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is funny. Also, I'm not a fan of what they did with Dr. Reyes
Mm.
because she's not a villain. She's just an X-Men
Okay.
character. She's usually
Mm-hmm.
with the X-Men, so making her a very like evil character, I didn't love. And also, there
Okay.
was a lot of plot holes. Like, why don't the kids just leave?
Right.
Why doesn't Magic specifically just leave? So
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
Okay.
But yes, not nearly as bad. Not on my list of worst X-Men movies,
No,
for sure.
No, I thought it was entertaining and very watchable.
I thought it
wasn't
was
bored
like
with anything.
for the franchise, it's very middle of the road. But
Sure.
I mean, it's also the New Mutants, so I just don't tend to care so much about the New Mutants.
Yeah.
And it is too bad we didn't get to see like. I wouldn't have been so excited for like the Warlock film, but I would have been interested in the Inferno thing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
There were talks. I don't. It's never gonna happen now. But I remember them thinking about bringing Daphne Keane into this series.
I don't know who that is.
She played Lara X-23 in Logan.
Oh, okay. Like as that character?
Yeah, she would just play X-23
Oh.
in the New Mutants.
Well, yeah.
Which is
that's
then.
cool.
So if that was the plan, so this definitely takes place during the
Right.
Logan time. So I just
Yeah.
don't understand because they literally mention Professor X. So which Professor X is it? Because if it's the Dark Phoenix
Yeah.
Professor X, then Beast is in charge of the school. If it's Patrick
Right.
Stewart Professor X, well, guess what? He's not teaching so much anymore.
You're not doing so great. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Is that it for you? New stuff for the week?
Yeah.
Then let's talk some old stuff. I've dug in my quarter bin. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do this. New
No,
Mutants.
okay. I am. No, it's not New Mutants.
No.
Commandy number 20 by one Jack Kirby.
Yeah, so you own this?
Yeah.
It was in your quarter bin. So this was like something you bought younger before you
Yeah.
went on this whole Jack Kirby journey that you've been on.
True. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I've had this one a long time. Didn't really understand it then. I feel that I understand it better now.
This character showed up in Grant Morrison did a lot with this kid, right? With this
Okay.
character in Final Crisis. Wasn't he part of it?
Oh, geez. I can't remember.
I
I don't
thought
know.
that was a thing.
I know he shows up on like he's used on Batman Brave and the Bold.
Oh.
You know, to see him like on screen that happens. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean the basic story is Commandy is the last boy on Earth,
Mm-hmm.
and it's sort of like it almost feels like a Sliders or something like that, where he keeps trying to find like some semblance of normality and just keeps getting tossed into different situations. So this one, we're just right into it. So it's a jarring start if you know the series at all, because Commandy and this big green gorilla guy are in a fight with these cops and these gangsters, and so it's just like, wait, what? What's happening? And then the fight goes on, and you see that the Chicago-style gangsters are actually just robots. And so the cops arrest Commandy and the gorilla and throw them into jail. So they're fighting and they're yelling, like, let us out, let us out. What?
I was gonna say, did he write this whole thing?
Yeah. So
Sorry.
they're in the jail and they're banging on the cells and they're like, let us out, let us out. Their cellmate gets impatient with them and starts a fight. They tussle, and it turns out he is also a robot. So they're like very confused about this. So the gorilla breaks through the through the bars, and they're running through the police station, and they realize like no one's moving. Like none of the cops, none of the perps, nobody is moving. They're completely frozen. So they start to think like, is everyone in this police station a robot? Why aren't they moving? What's happening?
Mm-hmm.
So they find themselves suddenly transported into like an old-fashioned courtroom. And the judge pronounces them guilty and says they're a menace to society and all that. Then this big crazy rumble breaks out. I learned that the gorilla man's name was Ugash. So Ugash gets overpowered and is dragged off for like his punishment, and they take him to like an old school electric chair, right? And Commandy's freaking out. He finds a revolver and is going to try to like, I don't know, like he can't do it by himself, but he's going to try. Well, suddenly he sees out the bars that Ugash's guerrilla army shows up. and they're trying to find him. They're trying to save him. So Commandy fires off a few rounds, and they hear it, and they see him, and they come running over to help Ugash. So in all the craziness that's going on, Commandy like sneaks out and is trying to get away, and he goes down into a subway tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
And then finds like sort of a panel that opens, and he's just in like a big giant control room, and realizes that it's none of it's real. Like none of it is real. And there's a big computer that's like, since the cataclysm, we've been running the city. It's just all computer based. So Commandy has spent this time thinking that he's found like society and civilization, but it turns out that he didn't, that these are just robots, and he's still just by himself. So he walks out, and the last panel is him just like walking away, like clearly distraught. And in the background, you see a sign that says like Chicagoland Living Museum. It's just a museum.
Aww.
There's no more people. Commandy just goes off into the sunset alone by himself.
Sad.
The end.
Jeez,
I know.
Jack Kirby.
He doesn't even have a devil dinosaur to hang out with. It's just Commandy.
There were 59 issues.
Oh yeah, it's a long-running series. As a kid, I fully didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand why they were robots. I didn't understand why he was sad that they were robots. But it made a lot more sense to me, and I actually kind of thought, like when the twist happens and you see Commandy's reaction, and like those final panels are actually very sad.
Yeah.
Like, it's well done. They're very moving. So a lot more coherent than lots of Jack Kirby.
On
Wikipedia.
Stuff. DC wanted to publish Planet of the Apes comics, but the deal didn't happen, so they asked Jack Kirby for a similar concept.
Oh,
and he hadn't seen the films, but he knew the gist of it. So, and because the Forever People was canceled, Jack Kirby was freed up to do it. So
that makes sense. And Devil Dinosaur is after this, and you can really see heavy Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
It's clearly got some roots in Planet of the Apes there too. So he
left,
which is not uncommon for Kirby to like bounce between DC and Marvel, because I mean there's many examples of this. You have Challengers of the Unknown, which
Challengers
in my mind is really a proto like Fantastic Four. So he kind of takes that idea with Stan Lee and makes that.
Right.
I feel like the same is true with the Eternals and the New Gods. Like you have concepts you create for the New Gods that sort of then become templates for the Eternals, and I feel like Commandy and Devil Dinosaur also share a lot of DNA. So you can see Kirby's methods there, where he's sort of like, this is something I enjoy working on, and so he sort of adapts it in between. That's my theory anyway, based on the stuff I've read.
They brought him back, this character, as Rebirth back in 2017 for like a 12-part limited series.
Yes, I remember that.
So after Kirby left this comic series, Paul Levitz, Dennis O'Neil, David Kraft, Elliot S. Maggin, and Jack Harris all wrote this. So a lot of people on this series. Apparently, it had high sales, but they canceled it when they canceled 24 of their series back in 1978.
Yeah,
the DC implosion is called. Sorry,
Eric and I interviewed Elliot S. Maggin over on the All the Book Show.
Yeah.
So find that podcast and listen to that episode. It was a fun interview.
Yeah,
ate a lot of spaghetti.
Saddest thing is that we will never get to interview Dennis O'Neil.
I know.
That was because every time we're like, who else should we get? We're like, get Dennis O'Neil, damn you! Get Dennis O'Neil on the phone right now. I want pictures of Dennis O'Neil on page 1 tomorrow.
Phil Hart's a pretty good one. I've read I have several issues of Commandy that I've read a bunch of times, but I've never
series on the DC app.
I think it is. I think that it is.
You weirdly sold me on this.
I know. Reading this one now actually makes me want to go back and read some of it, because I looked into collections before, and it's sporadically collected, and usually it was expensive. But I could see adding Commandy to my list now because I really liked it.
Let's see. It doesn't say. Maybe because I'm not subscribed. Oh, and also I spelt it wrong. This is... don't be offended by this, but this is the first time you've talked about a comic, and I'm like... for the bin, and I'm like, oh my gosh! It is on here!
Yeah. It's the third time for me, because I read that Fantastic Four when I had to figure out what the heck was going on.
Yeah.
Commandy. And then, of course, Justice Society. So now I'm on a roll.
This is the Commandy Challenge.
See what I grab next week.
Last Boy on Earth.
All right. Anything else you want to share for the good of comic book coffee break?
This series. I've got a lot of stuff to read, but I don't know what I'm gonna read next. I gotta finish this All-Star Batman so I can be. I just wanted to read some Batman stuff.
Yeah, I get it. I'm going to be reading Spider-Man next.
Yeah, that was fun.
Peter Parker Morales book. I'm gonna be reading that. DC, I haven't quite decided. I'll probably maybe Super Sons. Maybe I'll get into some Super Sons.
Yeah. Well, obviously I don't know if I put Wicked and Divine Volume 5 on hold. Well, I'll get my Wicked and Divine Volume 5.
Okay, double down.
Woo! Wicked and Divine! I can't wait to be okay with the ending, maybe? We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know what I'm going to be reading this week. Ready Player 2, but that's not a comic yet.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right.
Outside of Comic Book Coffee Break, I am also the co-host of 9021 Here We Go, a 90210 rewatch podcast hosted with my pal Kendra Mickles right here on the Radio Meanwhile Network. And outside of that, I'm the host of the new podcast of the David A. Howe Public Library, How's Things, dropping this December with some Christmas-themed episodes. So go find that and listen in. What about you, Eric? Where else can people find your little face?
On Radio Meanwhile, I host two. I do previously on X-Men and 90s Music's Got Me. Previously on X-Men, I'm editing the Logan episode right now. And on 90s Music, I'm editing, it's the Save Tonight by Eagle Eye Cherry.
Times. Okay.
Save tonight, fight the break of dawn. Anything?
Yeah, I know that one.
Okay. I never know. And then we'll see you next week to talk about comics that we've been reading. Try to find this anywhere else. Logan.